It is 20 minutes past 12. You are listening to the Mid Morning Talk on Salam Media. At just 13 years old, she introduced the world to the power of her conviction when she and other Black schoolmates marched against Pretoria High School for girls' anti Black hair policy. She has grown up a little, but she still remains a fighter and an activist. And she's joining me today as our hit list, Zulaikha Patel, an anti racism activist and author. Zulaikha, good day and thank you for joining me.
Good day to you, Miriam. Thank you for having me.
If you may, can you kindly please switch on your camera?
Oh, apologies. I just
All right.
dropped. I was actually saying to one of your colleagues that I just dropped my phone, so my screen is unfortunately cracked.
All right. Okay. No problem. We can still continue with the conversation. Now, I want us to go back a little, or rather go back to 2016 when it all happened and when you decided to take a stand. What sparked the decision, first of all? Just take us back through that time and that day and before that as well.
So prior to then, I think I was extremely socially aware of the racial dynamics that existed in the country, partly because I had I'd been experiencing racism, and from the time I was in preschool, I think that I was aware of um, of unjust treatment on the basis of race, and so I'd been aware of racism, and as I grew up, slowly my feelings around it started to develop more from just understanding that it is wrong to
Mm-hmm.
wanting to change and do something about it. And so when I got to high school, I was very socially aware, and
Mm-hmm.
I had the understanding now that this is unconstitutional. And as the conditions within the institution got more harsh, and it was as if they were at war with
Mm-hmm.
blackness. There was an expectation that you had to leave it at the gate upon entrance and assimilate to whiteness and white culture. And I had the feeling that it was unconstitutional, which it is. And as those conditions got more harsh, it became very unbreathe. It was no longer, these were no longer conditions you could breathe in.
Yeah.
And that was what formed the decision to start the movement and resist and begin to become the change that we seeked at the time, because we then began to feel like we could not breathe under these conditions.
Mm-hmm. You and your other colleagues as well. And did you think that it would go viral so soon?
At the time, I honestly I did not, but I always believed that young people could become a force for change when united. But I did not believe that it would happen in a couple of hours overnight.
Mm. And you recently also launched your book, My Coily Crowny Hair, which we currently have on our screens right now. Why did you write this book and who is it intended for?
So I wrote the book I started writing it in 2019 when I was in grade 11. And I wrote this book with the intention of writing a book that is empowering and is an affirmation which celebrates the power and the beauty of the African identity and rewrites the narrative for an African girl child, because I wanted an African girl child to pick up a book which would be affirming, empowering, and would also change the narrative for a girl child, whereby they pick up a book with a story whereby they are empowered to believe that they can become whatever they want, and um, they can do that existing confidently. Because I think a lot of children's storybooks that are reserved for girl children always have this narrative whereby in order for the girl child to achieve something, she has to be saved by Prince
Mm-hmm.
Charming. And we see that in a lot of girl children's storybooks. And I wanted the book not only to be an affirmation of the African identity, but I wanted the girl child to pick up a book and see that it is possible. It is possible to achieve what you want, and anything that you want is attainable, because one of the lines in the book says that you could be anything you want to be with your natural hair. And
Mhm.
I wanted a girl child to understand that line and understand she can become whatever she wants in her natural hair, and without needing to be saved in order to achieve what she wants.
Mhm. And you wrote the book, you started writing the book while you were in grade 11. And how was the writing process? And what was it like juggling school and, a side hustle like writing a book?
I think it was definitely a challenge, but it wasn't a challenge which was completely something that couldn't be done. So it was definitely a challenge, but in the end I managed to figure it all out and still do well on both ends. And and the writing process, it lasted for about a year and a half, because I completed writing towards the end of 2020, and then it was just editing from there on. And it was a very exciting process, because for me writing a book was something that I've always wanted ever since I was in grade 2. So it was very exciting. And then once it had gone through the editing, the more exciting part came, picking the illustrations, and which was a very intention. Each illustration is very intentional. Each illustration carries its own message, its own the color, the selection of colors. Purple carries a message of its own, and everything was very intentional. And then after the illustrations, it was even more exciting. Then I got to engage with the person that delivered my forward, and it was very exciting. And then after that, once everything was done, then came the waiting process, waiting for the book to be printed and for the book to arrive. And in the meantime, then I could announce the news. And when I finally got to hold the book in my hands, it absolutely felt like a dream.
Wow. Now, is this the first of many books to come?
Yes, definitely.
All right. So we can't wait to catch up with you when you do release more of them. Now, back to the hair saga and women, Black women in particular. Do you think that Black women have been conditioned to disliking their hair?
Yes, from a very young age, from the time we're children, there's a lot of conditioning that takes place. But I think that that's why the book had to be written, for that to be changed and for that to be challenged as well, so that children can begin to see representation of themselves in different places. Because I think that the reason why it's happened at such a young age for the generations that's before the current generation is because there was no representation of ourselves in different facets of life. So it was important for the book to be written so that a child can also see can see representation in literature.
hmm But I think back then, our parents did not mind having the hair that they did. It's just through time and like you mentioned earlier, with stories and being saved by a prince, we've been conditioned to thinking that everything is about having a nice straight hair, blonde hair, and it must be manageable. And we saw that with the clicks as well, and what they did and how they put it that black hair is dry and unhealthy, etc. So I think this is something that is new, but also not so new.
Yes, definitely.
hmm how can we learn to love our hair?
I believe that that's something that becomes an internal thing for everyone on their own, because I do believe that that then begins to that also forms part of healing as well. And so I believe that it's something that happens internally for everyone, like individually. And it's part of the mental emancipation process, right? And I
hmm
think that I began to love my hair was I I began to accept it in its natural state, and accept that this is who I am and this is a part of me.
Mm-hmm. All right, Zulaikha, we're going to take a quick break and we will continue thereafter.
And luxurious jewelry? Or is it our master craftsmanship of all your bespoke jewelry needs? We believe it's because at Randery Jewelers, we know just how to make your special moments last forever. Whether it's for a wedding, anniversary, or just a simple gift to show your love, trust Randery Jewelers to make it special. www.randeryjewelers.com. Make your moments last forever with Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust.
DoosieMed Medicine Depot, retail pharmacy and emergency medical depot. Conveniently situated in the DoosieMed Medical Center, corner Burger and Boshoff Street, Pietermaritzburg. We provide safe, affordable and convenient medical facilities. Open till 10 p.m. every day of the year. We have a full house clinic that operates from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., which is run by a qualified sister. The clinic offers immunization, vaccination, wellness, general consultation, and more. Call DoosieMed Medicine Depot on 033 3421 DoosieMed Medicine Depot, your pharmacy of choice.
A strip of land with over 2 million people blockaded for 13 years. Healthcare is on its knees, food is scarce, and water is inadequate. COVID has wreaked havoc in the lives of the people of Gaza. 53% of the population live below the poverty line. 80% of Gaza relies on external aid to survive, and 20,000 children are now orphans. The future is bleak. Please, don't forget Gaza. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
These days, I'm more health conscious than ever. So tonight it's stir fry for dinner, cooked in healthy Helios pure sunflower cooking oil. Helios is pure sunflower goodness, packed with omega-6. That's good for your heart. And it's approved as part of the Heart and Stroke Foundation eating plan.
Dinner's ready!
Helios, pure sunflower cooking oil. A healthy family is a happy one.
Reliable access to clean water could save thousands of lives each day. With proper sanitation and easy access to fresh, clean water, communities can flourish. Our Thirst Relief Appeal provides clean water to communities in Asia, Africa, and the Middle East by building deep wells and providing sustainable water and hygiene solutions. A monthly donation of as little as 700 Rand could build a well for a community in need. That's only 23 Rand a day. Donate today, www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 11 00 573. Penny Appeal, small change, big difference.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media.
Welcome back. Please excuse me for that. My mic was on mute. All right, guys. Thank you for staying with us. We are talking to Zulaikha Patel, who is our hit list for today. If you've just joined us, thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions or comments for Zulaikha, you can send them to us via WhatsApp. The number is 061 766 0355. Alternatively, you can send them to us on our Facebook. As it is, there is a comment here by Nazir Babaka Asya Diotlo, who says, if you grow in a community that is of different races, they brag and display their hair and tell you your brain is as short as your hair. They try so much to make a black man hate himself. Wow. It's so sad, you know, this thing of so many races always like want to be coming at your throat. Everybody want to dictate how you should have your hair. If it's not society dictating it, it's men dictating it. When will women just be allowed to wear their hair the way they feel is okay. Zulaikha, thank you for staying on the line. Now, you are a young activist. How important is activism and affording young people a platform?
It's important because young people are the ones that are going to inherit and occupy the future. And so when you sit and you want to discuss redefining that future, young people have to be at the forefront of that discussion for social change, because young people are the ones that are going to inherit and occupy that future, and they cannot have their futures determined by those that won't be part of that future. And also, young people make up the majority demographic currently. So young people are also the present.
Mhm. All right. So there was a comment that came through which I read earlier, and I just want to get your thoughts on this particular comment. Just gonna wait for it to come back on screen. But if there is any further comments or questions for Zulaikha, you can send them to us on WhatsApp. The number is 061 and you can also leave them in the comment section on Facebook. We are live, and all right. While we wait for that, we'll move on. Um, Before the break, we spoke about how can we learn to love our locks. You know, what can we do as women to learn to love our locks, and how would you like to be remembered? Because you decided to take a stand, you decided to do something about it, and that was how you chose to love your locks, to love the person that you are. And how would you like to be remembered?
Oh, that's quite a mouthful of a question. I think that I'd love to be remembered as someone that didn't just demand change, but
Mm-hmm.
formed part of propelling the country and the world in a direction of change.
Mm-hmm. All right, we have a game that we like to play on the hit list. It's called Quick Fire. I'm going to ask you 5 questions and you need to answer them as quickly as possible. Are you ready?
Oh, okay. Yes.
All right, if you were the president, who would be your deputy?
My deputy would be I. Ooh, that's tough. Ooh, I think my deputy would be. Uh, Ooh, that is tough. I think I'd make my deputy Shaira Kala.
All right, so what would your top priority be as the president?
My top priority would be education, decolonized education, free decolonized education.
What is your favorite quote?
My favorite quote is by Dr. Angela Davis, where she says that I am no longer accepting the things that I cannot change, but I'm changing the things that I cannot accept.
And if you had to choose a superpower between invisibility, reading minds, and super strength, what would you choose?
Reading minds.
And lastly, name 3 people or organizations to follow on social media. Who would you recommend?
One organization is an organization I'm an ambassador of, the Charlotte's Manyumatege Institute. So on Instagram, it's at Charlotte underscore Manya underscore Matlege. And then also follow on Instagram at my coily crowny hair, which is my book's social media page. And then an organization I would also recommend to follow is Impact.
Hmm. Just
Yes.
impact.
Yes.
All right. Now, back to the issue of schools. You know, recently also there were protests of racism at some schools, and other people would say, but why don't you just build your own schools instead of attend such schools where you will be made to feel a certain type of way, you would be discriminated against, etc. So, what would you say to that if somebody says, but just build your own school?
But then the schools that currently exist don't just exist for only one part of the population. The current schools exist for all citizens of the country, and therefore they should accommodate all citizens of the country. And because they're schools that are under the republic, they should be in line with the constitution.
So basically, building an own school is not something that you just, just come, build your own school because that school is being racist towards you. All right, Zulaikha, what is your message to the women and girls this Women's Month?
I think that the message I have is that we have a very long way to go in emancipation from our suffrage, but I believe that ours is to just continue from the generation of 1956 that has paved the way for us.
All right, awesome. Zulaikha, thank you so much for taking time to join us and sharing your journey with us. And I wish you well in your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
All right, have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Zulaikha Patel, an anti-racism activist, taking us through her life. And you might remember her from being that little 13-year-old protesting against Pretoria High School for Girls anti-black hair policy. And while she wasn't alone, she was along with other fellow students who said, you know what, enough is enough. Something needs to be done about the situation that we find ourselves in. And here she is today, being an author of a book titled My Coily Crowny Hair. Like she said, you can follow her books page on Instagram as My Coily Crowny Hair. It is at 12:41. You are listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media.